put this entire thing in.
Freddy is chewing chips just to annoy me. It worked, believe it or not.
Believe me, I'm irritated.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 69 of the Poorly Planned Podcast. I left a little space in
I like
there,
what you did there.
so we can put in the number when we figure it out. My name is Benedict.
970.
You may know me better as BHL Hudson. Here we talk about movies, TV shows, a bunch of nonsense. With me, as always, is my friend, co-host, and chip-eating...
It's me!
Moron.
A chip-eating moron.
Frederick. And prehistoric ape man, Frederick. Today we have... As I said before we started recording, a Downey Jr. pod. We are talking about the Iron Man trilogy today.
Whew.
Pretty exciting stuff, I guess. I mean, this trilogy did end
very topical
7 years ago, but
very relevant to today's cinema
and society as a whole.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna go through each movie, talk about our thoughts, have a bit of trivia, hopefully have a bit of fun.
No.
Yeah, unlikely. And spoilers for all the Iron Man films, because you definitely haven't seen them, especially the one that came out 13 years ago.
Did it really 13 years ago? Damn.
It will be when this goes up closer to it, yeah.
God
2008. I saw that in the cinema with my grandchild.
My great-grandfather and my grandchild.
So, first off, Iron Man 1, 2008.
A classic.
Favreau, Downey Jr., Bridges. What a combo.
Sounds like a deluxe burger.
And I mean, and Paltrow and Howard, of course.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. They're on their own deluxe burger. The fries to this film. What do you think of Iron Man 2008?
My favorite Iron Man movie out of the three, definitely.
That's fair.
That's fair. I do like Whiplash, though.
Put away my Whiplash fan art that I was really excited to show you.
You made just for me. Bird. That's him saying bird.
It's like, what the f***?
Never seen such...
Just wait for you to sleep and bird. He doesn't really say it so deadpan. He's more like, I want my bird. That's my Justin Hammer.
I'd like you to know that test pilot survived, bird.
What? What did you just say?
The listeners will know.
There are levels to this comedy. It's unbelievable. What a reference. Why do you know that line? That's so obscure. I love it. Anyway, God, we've already peaked. This pod is just downhill.
I have successfully privatized world peace.
Enough. Oh, sorry.
This is too good.
Save this for the Iron Man 2 segment.
We're not even getting paid.
Oh my God. Iron Man 1. So, the character of Tony Stark in this...
board.
This is turning to shit way too fast.
Sorry.
At least wait until we get to Iron Man 3. Okay. So... Jesus. Robert Downey Jr. is one of the best casting choices. Stop, you fucking moron. Because I know the only thing going through your head right now is... Bored.
It truly is.
Would you say, in the list of, let's say, the 3 best casting choices...
Of all time? Or in the
of
MCU?
superheroes.
Okay.
Jackman.
Yes.
Downey Jr. and maybe...
Vision. Who else? Who else was really good? Let's come up with a third.
Because I can't really... if we say villains, then obviously Heath Ledger. But if we're talking heroes...
Ryan Reynolds, maybe?
As Deadpool, yeah. I feel like we're missing a really obvious one, but...
I mean, I meant as Green Lantern, but... Okay.
Yeah. But, no, he's fantastic, and he's... The thing about this movie is it's very... they didn't... Apparently they had, barely had a script for this, where, they had, the...
So Favreau.
They had the bare bones of, the story, the direction the story had to go, but the conversation, and most of it is, dialogue-based scenes, they kind of just went more improv. Which I think really suits... Because, Downey Jr., he's a quick-witted man.
He goes...
Yeah. He's having his quick wit. He just snaps. It really makes it even funnier.
Even wittier. Yo! Boom. Everyone howls with laughter.
I think it really, really works for this movie. I think that's kind of a dangerous game to play, and if you didn't have such a...
He is dangerous.
kind of talented cast, it could end up more disastrous. But I think it really works in this one.
Yeah.
And
I think the opening... of him like driving, and then obviously they get attacked, and he stays in the cave. That opening, like, what is that, 30 minutes or so, is one of the best things in the entire MCU. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's probably I would say probably the highlight of the movie, or at least
that, or when he's building his suit.
Yeah, I think the first 2/3 are really good, and the last third is still solid, but it's just a bit more like kind of generic superhero, whatever. Obadiah, you know how
classic
he does.
Oba,
the dude. But it's not a dark movie, but it's more it's more gritty
and realistic than some of the other ones.
Yeah, especially if you compare it to like the MCU now. Even like the dialogue and like the kind of, I don't know, it's not like super, like, it's not like they're cursing, it's like super adult or whatever, but it is more kind of, it feels more, I don't say like a real movie, but like more kind of,
no, it's a bit more grounded.
Yeah, I feel like this one...
This is also before all that, like, all magic and stuff like that was introduced into
I think this also works perfectly as the introduction to the MCU, because it's not trying to set up a million... Like, obviously there's a post-credit scene with Samuel, but it's not... If this was the only MCU movie that ever was made, you would be like, oh yeah, that's a good movie. Like, and I think it works now with the later MCU movies being so interconnected because it's built to this, but for it to start as just its own cool movie that, like, you could just go into the cinema with like anyone and watch at the time.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's the key to kind of the MCU growing. That and Hulk, obviously. But
that and Hulk 2003.
But yeah, the action is f***ing badass.
It is.
I mean, it's I think the last use of an unironic walk away from explosion that's actually cool and not.
He's all yours.
I mean, that's not really the same scene.
But then he shoots it in the tank and then he walks away.
Yeah.
See, I know.
I mean, separate stuff. Separate scenes.
No,
I appreciate
you're wrong.
He doesn't shoot the tank and then go, he's all yours, as he walks away just to no one.
Throws the tank at the innocent people.
As he talks to Rhodey on the phone.
But
Rhodey's like, what?
What do you mean? Rhodey explodes? He's in the tank?
What do you think of... Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you prefer the original Rhodey?
That's what I was going to say.
Or the Cheeds?
Well,
I know you see more of the Cheeds, but is that a good thing?
Look, I think, honestly, I know this is kind of like a bitch answer where I don't really give one, but I think Cheeds works well for this kind of more like crazy cosmic, as he is a crazy cosmic man, crazy cosmic like endgame MCU style, and Terrence Howard, and maybe it's just because we've only seen him in like the original grounded version, but I feel like he works well in this sort of more realistic, down-to-earth, like, normal movie kind of thing. And I think Cheeds has more of a fun dynamic with the rest of the team kind of thing.
I think Cheeds is much less of a military man than Howard is. At least acting-wise. Also because Cheeds has no honor.
I see where... Cheeds also, he has more... I'm sure Howard is a very witty, funny man. And he's a great actor, but Cheeds, I think I can imagine, like... I don't know, his banter and, like, the way he... Like, you know the scene in Age of Ultron?
Yes, this is Tony Stank.
Classic banter.
Classic Ultron scene as well.
But, I think he works well in the later... But I think Howard is good in this as well, and him and Tony... I can't... Tony's hair is a bit odd in this, don't you think?
Is it?
It's a bit poofy. I also think his dynamic with Pepper Potts is very fun and charming in this film. Unlike in Iron Man 2, where he's just kind of a dick for most of it, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But in this one, his like dickishness is
charming.
Yeah,
because they're not together at the start of this, are they?
No, not really.
Because she kind of looks at him like, oh, that's just Downey being Downey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a bit like flirtatious, I guess, and they have their moment at the end. But yeah, he's in this one. His snarkiness and all that, it's in line enough, I guess, where it's still fun and charming and not like kind of irritating as it gets into. But yeah, and they have good chemistry and it's a very fun movie, great ending too. Okay villain. I think he gives a good performance. His motivations are a bit weak.
I'll say I don't think it takes away, like, it doesn't take anything from the movie, but
it's just
it doesn't add
the
too
less
much either.
good part of it. But overall, and Jensen's great, and yeah, the whole cave sequence is like tense and good. Just a great movie.
I love Favreau in it as well.
Favreau's delightful, yeah. He's the one example of where they give a side character like more to do as the movies go along, and I enjoy it because it's Favreau.
It's actually good.
Yeah.
Is there anything Favreau can't do? Like everything that man touches seems just turn into gold. He's also doing The Mandalorian, isn't he?
Yeah. God, this is just becoming the Favreau fanboy hour.
God, Favreau's amazing.
And he's sexy.
And he's got a lube scene in Couples Retreat.
That's a fact. But
Yeah, I'm not weird. It's just a fact.
and yeah, no, I think he does a great job directing it as well. The suit looks amazing. The suit up, the CGI, it's so cool.
Yeah.
The soundtrack is awesome, and obviously there's the AC/DC, but also the original score is great. Just a great movie. A little bit of trivia here. To avoid spoilers about the final press conference, the extras were told that it was a dream sequence. Kind of interesting. Although I don't really see why that would stop them from telling people.
Yeah.
They could also just say, oh yeah, he has a dream at the end where he says he's Iron Man. But anyway, go Favreau, I guess. It worked. I didn't know about it.
I'm sure you could just say, don't tell people.
Yeah, they make people sign things for a reason, like...
Yeah.
So Favreau can come and shoot you if you tell someone about this.
You said as you legally have to let Jon Favreau lick your ear.
Everyone tells everyone. Paul Bettany recorded all of his lines as Jarvis in 2 hours. So Bettany getting an easy payday here.
Right.
Because he is Jarvis.
That's weird to
originally.
think about. That
Yeah.
he actually.
I think that's also a sign of like how this universe is built in such like a cool
Yeah.
way. And Jon Favreau celebrated getting the job as director by going on a diet and losing 70 pounds.
Which he then immediately gained for Chef.
First of all, goddamn, Favreau fluctuates in weight. He's like Christian Bale. But I just like that one because it's quite wholesome. Because usually like it would be like this person celebrated by like drinking 10 beers and eating 8 pizzas. But
Favreau seems like. I'm not saying there's not a lot of people in Hollywood who are this, but he seems like one of the just most genuinely nice people in Hollywood.
And talented as well.
And pretty sexy, as you said.
And like very, very, yeah. No, he's good dude, man.
Yeah.
Good guy. Big fan, Favreau. Iron Man 2, The Whippening. Sorry, I don't know what the f*** I said that.
Burt. Iron Man 2.
Burt.
Burt.
He doesn't even say it like that.
He does say it like that. I want my Burt. You got too much
Anger. He's more casual.
He's more Burt.
Fair. So, Iron Man 2, I genuinely think is a lot better than people kind of give
I don't
credit
see why
for.
it gets so much hate.
I think it was it started more back when there were like 6 MCU movies and people kind of like were thinking like, okay, well, like, what's the bad one? And then that kind of people bandwagon on it. It's definitely worse than Iron Man 1.
1 and 3, probably.
Yeah, it's definitely the worst of the trilogy, but it's definitely not the worst MCU movie.
No,
it still has a lot of like personality, and you can tell like it still has funny, like it still has the difference between this and something like Hulk or Captain Marvel or Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I would consider probably the lower MCU movies, is it's not bland. Like it still has moments that make you laugh and exciting action.
This movie also expands a lot on the universe, right? Because Nick Fury gets involved.
Well, that's
Shield is introduced.
That's where it gets a bit like I think its problem is it has way too much going on. Like it has. That alone would take up 8 movies. But it has a lot of plot lines, and it is clearly trying to set up future movies. And I think, like now in hindsight, like it was good that they did that because it did help set things up. But it does hinder this movie hurt this movie a bit because it has so much going on. It feels a bit unfocused, and like they're trying to do a million things at once instead of like focusing on one kind of core story. That being said, it does have Justin Hammer.
It does.
Whose
test pilot did survive.
It was a delightful villain. He might be coming back in, the Cheats has a Disney Plus series coming called Armor Wars.
It's nothing to do with MCU. Justin Hammer still walks in.
So he might be coming back in that, but he's so...
I would love that. What's happened to him? I forget.
He went to jail at the end.
Did he?
Yeah. And he shows up in a short film about the Mandarin where Kingsley's there, and then at the end there's like a little cameo where he's like...
You'll never see me coming.
That's your hammer.
That's my hammer. Yeah.
But he's very... I just love how well he plays, like, just... Because he's not even that much worse than Tony Stark, but he's just slightly smarmier and grosser and less good at...
And less talented at everything.
Yeah, well, and like less good at being like sharp and witty. And it's so fun to watch because... And also...
It's a really, really good performance.
It also shows you like how the character Tony Stark, if they'd cast... Not that I don't think... what's his name? Rockwell could have done a good Tony... Like, he's clearly trying to be like gross and smarmy or whatever, but if they'd cast like the wrong actor for Tony Stark, he could have been so irritating.
Yeah,
Because even in
sure.
this movie with Downey Jr.'s charm,
He's
is
still
annoying at times. And the thing is, this one he's a douche in all of them basically, but you like him because he's charming and funny. And this one he's more, especially scenes with Pepper. I was like, God damn, you're annoying. Like,
God damn, Downey.
I would never treat her like that.
Pepper's a queen.
But I don't know, he's just so full of himself, and like it gets a bit much. And then there's the whole story about finding a new element, and then Black Widow's introduced. The thing is, all these things.
Congratulations, sir. You have made a new element. That's Jarvis.
It's your Samuel L. Jackson.
This comes on the loudspeaker. Congratulations, sir.
That's your hammer. That's your board. We'll get to him, but Jesus. I think all of these elements individually are good. I just think there's a little bit too much in this film. But let's talk about Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson.
Good intro.
Great performance. I think it's a good introduction to her, like, her sneakiness. Because, like, she started... That's a terrible way to describe it. Because, she's introduced as, like, a decoy, like, character to the audience as well. And she has a pretty kick-ass action scene. Probably, maybe the best action scene in the movie. Like, her hallway fight.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, no. There's actually really good action.
Whiplash is on a Hot Wheels track, wherever the hell he goes.
Hot Wheels. Like a Formula One or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's the one.
But, Actually, this movie's action is great. There's just not a lot of it. But the racetrack scene is awesome. The drunken Downey Jr. versus Cheeds fight is pretty great.
Yeah.
And the final action scene's pretty good, and then isn't great. Like, it's the chase, and then they fight the million drones or whatever. That's kind of fun, although gets a bit, like, dull after a bit. And then when they fight the big bird man, it's not great. But
what do we think of him?
I enjoyed the
effort.
I enjoy his dynamic with Justin Hammer. I think without Justin Hammer, he would be a really whatever villain. I think because they paired those two together, it makes him more interesting and like gives his scenes more, fun to them. On his own, I mean, his motivation's fine.
What is his motivation again?
Tony's dad screwed over his dad, so now he wants revenge and that kind of thing. And like, the performance is okay, and he does have the brud moment.
He does have the, I want my brud.
It's pretty, he never gets that brud, which is the biggest tragedy of the MCU. But,
Scarlett Johansson's death? Nay, sir. No brud in sight.
But,
I want my brud.
ASMR with Frederick.
With brud.
I also love when Justin Hammer like loses his like, because he's trying to be like have this facade of being so cool, and then after a point she's like, I don't know if you noticed, but I don't speak Russian. it's very good.
I won't lie to you, I haven't seen this movie in a while.
You can imagine.
So these Justin moments are lost on me, but at the same time, I really like it.
Thank you. But I think it's a fun movie with too much going on, but it has a lot of good moments and elements individually. It's just a bit too much all packed together, and has some stupid plot moments, like him making that new element out of a map that his dad left him that he made with holograms or whatever the
Oh, right. You are my greatest creation.
That part, to be fair, that scene is kind of good.
It's a sweet part.
Yeah. Anyway, trivia time. Scarlett Johansson dyed her hair red before she even got the part of Natasha Romanoff because she wanted the role so badly.
Damn.
You go, Scarlett.
That's method acting.
Hammer's factory is really Elon Musk's SpaceX facility. The people walking in the background are actual employees, even though filming took place at night. So I found this interesting also because Musk makes a cameo in this movie.
Does he?
If you remember.
I don't remember.
The thing is, because this was 2010, where Musk obviously was a big deal, but he wasn't the household name that he is now. So I think it's meant as like a little Easter egg, like people in the know with like the tech world will know, because they're at the racetrack thing at the start, and they're walking around this like fancy party or whatever, and he's like, Pepper's like, look, it's Elon Musk, and Tony's like, oh, how do you do, Elon? Me. And Elon's like, I'm very good.
This. Let's see it.
Those Merlin engines are fantastic. Yeah, good idea for an electric jet. You do. Then we'll make it work.
That's awesome. What the hell?
Yeah, I think it's also because Tony Stark is a bit Elon Musk-esque, or like people have said Elon Musk is a bit like Tony Stark in real life.
Yeah. I've seen another cameo with Elon, which was in
Big Bang Theory.
No,
I assume he's in that.
I hate Big Bang Theory. Why him? starring Bryan Cranston and
Oh my goodness.
James Franco.
I sent you the trailer for that a while back, and I was
love
like,
that movie.
I've never seen it, but
It's really
it looks
good.
delightful.
It's so fun.
Keegan's in it. Sorry,
Have you seen Pink Panther?
the new one?
No, like the older ones with
Yeah.
Clouseau. Yeah, like the
Don't tell me Keegan's in those.
well, they basically in Why Him. They have a whole. Remember Kato and Clouseau's like when they fight in his.
Yeah.
They have a whole thing of that.
Really?
And then Cranston goes, "You're like Clouseau and Kato," and then Keegan goes, "I'm afraid I'm not familiar, but it sounds positively delightful."
God, we have to watch that sometime.
It's really good.
That's a delight.
I think it would genuinely be a good benefit watch.
Hey, I'll put it on the list. And finally, a little inverse Favreau. Robert Downey Jr. gained 20 pounds, but of muscle,
An inverse fab.
of muscle, to reprise his role for Tony Stark. Because he does have that scene where he's like kind of shirtless and he's
Yeah.
making an element. And he looks.
He does look kind of buff.
Have you seen that? They did a thing.
Whose bicep is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Evans is like, that's
mine."
Robert.
That's DJ.
And finally, in this trilogy, Iron Man 3. A film a lot of people kind of felt negatively about, or at least indifferently about, but I love, honestly.
I think it's yeah.
Very
I think
fun.
The first one's probably better, but this one's very good as well.
Yeah, it's just a delightful, fun summer blockbuster. It's exactly
Delight
what
to the to the senses, isn't my friend?
to the Francis.
Is it my senses?
Yeah, no, Downey Jr. and Cheadle, they have a fun dynamic.
They do.
It has, like, the action isn't as good as the first one, but it's still fun. It's still good. I love the music. They don't use the original soundtrack or any AC/DC, but I think it's Brian Jackson or something. No,
Cranston.
Brian Cranston was just composing the fuck out of this. Brian something.
Fairy.
No. What?
That's a dude.
I'm sure it's Brian Smith. But no, the music's really good. The Mandarin twist. Let's talk about, and you'll never see me coming.
Oh, wouldn't go in there for 20 minutes. I sound like Shrek almost.
That wasn't really a great Kingsley. But anyway.
He's real, but he's not real.
He just inhaled and took a Kingsley-esque pose, and I knew an impression was coming. I was like, we have to talk about the movie, not just do Kingsley impressions, as much as I would love to.
But I do hours of Kingsley impressions.
Like, this is what I say before every pod recording starts.
Please, no Kingsley impressions.
He just whimpers. Oh. But,
You'll never... You'll never see my board.
I think the twist...
I think it's a really good twist. Honestly, I really like it. I know a lot of people are like, it's not the Mandarin.
It's a good impression of
That's a lot of people.
of every man on Earth. No, yeah, it pissed off comic book fans, which I can kind of understand. But at the same time, I've never read a Mandarin comic.
At the same time, you.
But at the same time, if you're just looking at it as a movie, because also, like, the movies change things from the comics,
Yeah.
and, like, every movie changes things from its source material.
Cheese isn't actually in the comics.
As much as I wish he was. I think it works in the movie as a fun twist. I think Aldrich Killian is a pretty underwhelming, like, replacement villain. Like, he's fine, he's whatever, breathes fire at one point.
Yeah.
But I think that probably contributed to people being more mad that then at the end he's like, I am the Mandarin. But
I am the Mandarin.
yeah, and I think Kingsley plays it really well. I think even if you hate that twist, you gotta admit, Kingsley, and it's not an invitation to do another Kingsley impression, does a great job in this movie. It's fine.
Because
you
you
can do
never see him coming.
it. Yeah, I think, what else is there in this movie? It's set at Christmas. That's nice.
It is.
There's a large chunk of it is Tony in this like little Tennessee town with Harley, I think his name is, which I think a lot of people also didn't really. People felt maybe it was like catering to, like, child fans to be like, look, you could meet Tony Stark too. But I think it works.
But he's not real, children. Wake up!
The Mandarin. He's not real.
The Mandarin? It's not real.
I think it works in. I think it works for the movie story, and I think that whole segment's pretty fun, and also you get to see Tony Stark kind of back to his roots of having to make some shit out of something he buys at a department store. I think that adds a fun dynamic to it.
Yeah.
The kid's good too. What has he done lately, actually?
Probably nothing.
Yeah.
Probably fallen off.
Sorry.
Surely he's like.
Well, he was in Endgame, he was in the funeral thing.
All right.
But yeah. And the dialogue is still,
Passable.
snappy and fun, and Favreau has a little action scene in this,
He does.
And then he gets his ass kicked immediately and is in the hospital for the rest of the film.
They gave me things.
I'm gonna literally stop this episode. No, yeah, a pretty fun movie, I would say. Very fun movie.
I like the end where like all the Iron Man suits come out.
Yeah, it's it's an action scene that's, I think it's fun. It's not super like memorable to me. Like,
Yeah, I don't remember specifically what happened, but it's a good.
yeah, it's fun.
It's a good scene.
And the ending where he's like, I am Iron Man, and then it's
And he
like,
destroys all the suits, but like then he builds them all again. I don't see.
yeah, I mean,
that's kind of
continuity wise for like this universe is kind of weird, but for this individual movie, it's pretty decent.
It works. It works.
A little trivia. Let's see if there's anything actually interesting here. The idea that Happy Hogan's favorite television show is Downton Abbey was a suggestion of Jon Favreau's, who is actually a big fan of the British series.
Why do people need to know Happy Hogan's favorite television show?
Because he watches that in the hospital, and Tony Stark's like, he loves that. It's a great scene. This is my favorite thing from this movie, probably. Because I remember when this came out at the time, I was confused, and then I enjoyed it.
Okay.
The Super Bowl trailer.
As to you with most things, though. Confusion followed by enjoyment.
It's called Iron Man 3 Extended Look.
Okay. Get ready for an Iron Man 3 extended look. What is happening?
That might have been more extensive than extended.
So they just did
That is very good.
an extended look, and then it's just Downey staring at the camera, which is wonderful. Also, the first cut was 3 hours and 15 minutes long. I don't know what on earth that was about, but
Did Favreau direct that one as well?
no, it was Shane Black, the Predator man. That sounded weird. The guy who did the Predator in 2018. I genuinely did not mean
Shane Black, you know.
the Predator man. Also, I like this piece of trivia. The first day Robert Downey Jr. and Sir Ben Kingsley met on set, they snapped a photo together to send to director and mutual friend, Sir Richard Attenborough. What a weird combination of things there. Also,
Who
this
is Richard Attenborough?
he's the guy from Jurassic Park, the old guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
And I didn't know he was a director. Isn't he more famous for being like an actor? Or a sir?
Is he
It's a mutual friend and Sir Richard Attenborough.
Sir Richard Attenborough?
Anyway.
What's he done?
Jurassic Park!
No,
And
but
other
apart
stuff.
from Jurassic
And his
Park.
brother is David Attenborough.
Is it actually?
Yes.
You messing with me?
No, I would never. All right, well, so those are our thoughts on the Iron Man trilogy. I would rank it 1, 3, 2, boom.
I'd rank it
Worst to best, obviously.
Burt. Hammer.
Okay.
Burt.
It's like the combination to like some locker in your room or something. Anyway, it's time for
The Timecodes.
fun fact. Also, not the Tom Cruise, but just I'll give you one for free.
Oh,
Tom Cruise
please
was
do.
actually going to play Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man at some point in the 90s. So a little tie-in here. Anyway, I have a little Cruise fact here since this is pre-recorded. By the way, this is pre-recorded. If I didn't mention that, it's recorded on December 29th, 2020. Anyway, though Cruise enjoyed wrestling on his high school's team, a knee injury left him unable to play, which sent him looking for another way to spend his time, and it inevitably led him to audition for the school's production of Guys and Dolls. So, Cruise owes his acting career
To some guy who broke his knee.
to an injury, which I think is a beautiful
That is kind of
thing about
it's funny
life.
how like the whole butterfly effect thing, how
Yeah,
one little thing
the
leads
tiniest
to Tom
thing.
Cruise.
leads
leads to
to
the
us
mass power that is Tom Cruise.
leads to us seeing the Mummy. So yeah, interesting stuff there, and a good life lesson, I guess. Take everything as it comes. That's Cruise
very
would say.
Cruise, very Cruise.
Very Cruise-esque mantra there. So, now this was pre-recorded, but here are the not pre-recorded announcements and such. Take it away, future BHL and FDK. And we're back for the announcements and such segment. Present day, January 14th, recording thing. Freddie on the line via FaceTime. So...
They've flown me back in just to be on FaceTime.
So, yeah, it's pretty a short announcements thing this week.
It's looking kind of stale this week.
Well, there hasn't been, I don't think there's been anything on the fan page, post-wise at least. There's stories and all that, so go follow the fan pages. And The Reddit, I'm thinking of doing something with the Reddit, but really there's only 2 announcements and such.
Let's see, what is the Reddit on, BHL?
I made a Reddit account or page.
36 members.
Well, I was the 36th, so I'm there now.
Damn.
I don't know what karma is on Reddit. I don't know what.
I don't know.
All I know about Reddit is from watching KSI videos. But anyway, I'm thinking of doing something with it. We'll talk about some other time. Maybe I'll tell you off the air. It's pretty exclusive. But anyway, on the latest pod, a lot of nice comments. Cian also suggested that we just skip episode 69 and go straight to episode 70 and then just act like it didn't happen and go back to 69. But unfortunately, this is the 69th episode. We did talk about the Iron Man trilogy. Pretty anticlimactic, but still expect some epic jokes next time we're able to record. And really, the only other thing I think to say is just, given the new restrictions, I have no idea what we're going to be able to do next week. We will have a new episode next week, that I will try to guarantee, but I don't know if we'll be able to record together or we're going to do it like we did earlier in the last couple of months where...
I don't know if the brilliant audio quality will get back.
So yeah, expect potentially another episode of audio quality that's better than this, but only just slightly.
Please, don't get your hopes too high.
So, yeah, we'll see, but hopefully we can meet up. We'll have to see. But yeah, really, that's it for this week. You got anything to say to the people?
Just, God, what a weird time to be alive, eh?
Very, very true. We should do a pod about that. Just the strangeness of life. Well, all right, back to the pod. All right. Well, what great announcements those were.
That was
So
really sad if we just talked about someone's death or something.
So, thank you very much for listening to this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, link down below. If you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we're on YouTube, where we post exclusive content and such. Very good. Thank you very much for listening. You can find me on YouTube, BHL Hudson, Instagram, Twitter, BHL_Hudson. You can email the pod at bhlhudsonvids@gmail.com.
Amazing. Thank you, Marshall Mathers. I will go on. You can find me on Twitter at FDK_Adult Sniper. You can find me on Instagram at FDalgard, and you can find me on YouTube at FDK_Gaming.
Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next time.
I
I would have been disappointed if you didn't do that.